thank you so much for doing this evening, the Expats Portugal webinar for Thursday, 15th of May, 2025. Cost of living in Portugal, a guide for future expats. We're looking at average monthly expenses. Understand the typical cost for a single person, a couple, and a family, including the following. We'll touch on all of these this evening. Housing, rent prices in major cities and smaller towns, utilities, groceries, transportation, dining out, those all-important prices for meals at restaurants. I'm especially keen on that bit, and I don't mind contributing there with the research rather than the cost of the bill. Healthcare, overview of healthcare expenses and insurance options, internet and mobile plans, entertainment and leisure. We'll talk about your hobbies and how much they may cost here in Portugal. And any other questions you've got, additional costs for clothing, personal care, these sorts of things. And the expat insight as well. We've got Debbie, we've got Sarah and James joining us as well. So over to you then, Astrid. I think you want to start up your presentation and share it with us.
And if we're going to get into the grocery category, I'm happy to start with this very, very quick presentation, or should we go in the list of what's on the brief, Carl? What would you prefer?
Oh, you choose. Tell me where you want to go.
Okay, I'll quickly do this then. So those of you who have been with us before have seen my presentations for supermarket shopping. This is because today's not just about supermarket shopping. I have kept it a lot more brief and just given you a little bit of detail about what you can expect to pay. So I'll just share my screen.
Greetings from Christine coming in. Boa tarde from Carvalhal, near Bombarral. Very good. Kurt Buckley. Hi, Kurt. Good to see you. Diana. Hola, boa noite. New York City on the way to Porto, Kurt. Fantastic. Hola from Cascais, of course, from James and Debbie in Coimbra saying hi. Please let us know how you're doing in the chat and I'll share those greetings as well and where you are in your Portugal process. And if we can help, do let us know in there. Milestones and challenges, do share them in the chat. Over to you, Astrid.
Okay. Can you see my screen there?
Yep. All good.
Yep. Okay. So this is based on today's prices. I went to Auchan supermarket, which I think is one of the nicest supermarkets for a huge variety. And it's basically just touching base with the staple ingredients that you might choose. With the brands that I selected this time, usually I go for the cheapest brands, the store brands, to give an idea of what a cheaper lifestyle would be like. But in this instance, I've gone and tried to choose brands that you might be familiar with so that you can compare them back at home with what here. I'm assuming these brands are available everywhere, that they're multinational, but I know for me in Australia, they're definitely brands that I know. So basically, how do I look? So this is just with the fresh produce, just to keep it simple. For wholemeal bread, so this is baked on location, so it's not the prefabricated square loaf tin that you get from factory out. But a lot of the supermarkets do have bakeries internally. So this is for a wholemeal bread loaf. You're looking at about €1.39, which equates to €1.55 thanks to Spartan FX. That's why I put them there for the best exchange rate. Go to Sarah, because I wanted to give a comparison for US dollars, because I know that's where the majority of our members come. So just to make it easy for you. So it's $1.55 in US dollars. Iceberg lettuce is at €3.49. Now, a whole chicken will set you back about €2.79 per kilo, which is pretty cheap. And I must say, for those who aren't here yet, don't be surprised if you go into the supermarket and see the whole chicken with its head and feet still on, because those bits are actually used by a lot of the local Portuguese to make their whatever their kanjo, which is the chicken soup or whatever it might be. So it is a little bit daunting at first, but you certainly can get used to it. Potatoes, I think everyone has those in their pantry. So you're looking at around €1.59 per kilo. Basic tomatoes around €1.99 per kilo. And pork sausages, you're looking around €5.99. So about $6.70 in US dollars. As far as drinks are concerned, white wine, I've put a bottle there of probably one of my favorite white wines, which I go to all the time. It's around €7.69 per bottle, but sometimes and often it's on sale and it reduces down to about €5, which is pretty good value for wine. You can, of course, go cheaper than that. You can pick up €2 bottles of wine, but then you can also go to the extreme pay 30, 40, 50 euros for a bottle of wine. But I find sort of you're pretty safe between the 5 and 10 euro mark with wine. And depending on your budget, you can go higher or lower. So a case of beer, so for 24 330 ml bottles, you're looking at around 19.99 or 19.99 euros for a box of that. Always with beer, out of the 5 major supermarkets, someone's got a 50% off deal with the beer. So 19.99 is the full price, but often they're reduced. You just need to jump around to different supermarkets and you'll find someone's got some beer on sale at very big discounts. So don't ever buy it full price, just supermarket jump. So for fresh milk, we're looking at around €1.08 for 1 litre. Well, in Portugal, they don't sell anything bigger than 1 litre. So I know back in Australia, you can get big 5-litre jugs of milk, but it's not something that's done here. It's always in individual milk cartons of 1 litre. And I put here on fresh milk because I think that's what the majority of us are familiar with. However, UHT or long life milk is much more common here in Portugal and is cheaper, but it depends on whether that's to your taste or not. Of course, Coca-Cola is available. I think it's pretty expensive for what it is. So you're looking around €2.39 for a 1.75 litre bottle. But you know, I think it's a very common or popular drink with many people, so I included it there. And if you're after some coffee, I put here the Nescafe brand. I'm pretty sure that's a worldwide brand. And you're looking at around €8.49 or close to $10 for a 200-gram jar. Now, I do think at the moment there is a bit of a hike on coffee prices, so that will probably come down with time. So it's just a temporary price hike. And I think it's a worldwide thing due to some coffee bean or disease on the coffee plants. I don't know, but I've heard. Then we've got bottled water. So you can buy large bottled water here in the supermarket. So the Vitalis is a local brand. It's actually bottled close to where I have my farm, so in the same little village. So I'm very passionate or loyal to this brand. I think it's an amazing water. But a big 6-litre bottle will cost you around €1.89. You can get cheaper. And of course, you can get more expensive if you want bubbles in it or something like that. But the Vitalis is probably a very, very good brand. I think the water here in Portugal from the tap is perfect to drink. So you don't have to buy bottled water unless you really want to. But you often see people in the supermarkets with half their trolley filled with water and then a couple of other things. And I don't understand why, but it is what it is. So as far as sort of more canned and packaged goods, so a 3-litre bottle of olive oil will set you back around €24 or just under €25. It is very expensive at the moment. So there has been a huge increase in prices for olive oil, but there is news that it's going to be coming down again. And often that's got to do with the fact of, how the season went last year and that kind of what the crops were like. I know there's lots of bugs that have been coming around. Olive trees don't really need water to survive. So if it's dry, it doesn't necessarily matter. But I think there are diseases that they get and that can affect the price of olive oil. You get a lot of olive oil from Portugal and some from Spain, but the majority here, we do great olive oil here. If you're into frozen pizzas, I thought I'd include that one as well. You're looking at about €5 for one pizza from the supermarket. If you're after a block of chocolate, I put Cadbury there because I think it's a worldwide brand as well. So 110-gram Cadbury is expensive, but here, and there's not the full range of Cadbury chocolates. There are other brands, of course, but there's very, very limited amounts of Cadbury for some reason. They don't have the huge presence in the market here. 12 free-range eggs will be about €4.50. Those prices, again, have gone up recently, but hopefully they will go down. But even for me, I buy my eggs from the market and I'm paying nearly €5 for 12 eggs. So they are expensive at the moment. And then I think I did a bit of research and it did say that cheddar cheese is very, very popular in the States. So I have included it here. It's not a regular cheese that you buy in Portugal, but if you do love your cheddar like I do, you're looking at around €3.79 per packet. And but of course, there are lots of other cheeses, beautiful cheeses here in Portugal that you may prefer. But I like cooking with cheddar, and I don't know, I just like a good cheddar, so I put it there. There are cheaper brands of cheddar cheese too, but this is my favourite, the Kerrygold. And then, of course, if you're a baked beans fan, you can buy baked beans here in Portugal. So you're looking at about €2 or just under €2 a tin. So it's not cheap, but of course, if you absolutely love baked beans and you want it on toast and you want to feel like being back at home, then
Yes.
that's a good price for you
Yes.
too.
Thank you for including that.
Yeah. So, but that's why I like Auchan too, because you do get a lot of those foreign, well, they're foreign for us here, but you can get your Asian woods, and you can get rice noodles, and you can get sauerkraut, and you get all those things that you probably wouldn't expect to be able to get in Portugal, but you can find it. So that's it. There's only 3 pages of prices there, Carl. So I
That's
thought we'd get
great.
into
That's
everything
that's a
else.
really good start. Is Cadbury's the favored brand in Australia over the American chocolate brands?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Wow, very
And
interesting.
there's so many different types of chocolate, Cadbury chocolate. There's
Yeah.
the assortment is just, every time I go back and visit, it's just like there's like 10 different varieties
Catching up to do.
of
Yes.
Cadbury chocolate. Yeah.
Very
But
good.
here there's not really much.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You get the occasional Mars or Cadbury selection, don't you, in the supermarkets, and quite expensive. So a nice little treat from time to time. I think you're getting a sense of mine and Astrid's tastes this evening. That bottom row of eggs, baked beans, and cheese is a really good night in for me on toast, of course. Right, thank you very much, Astrid. That's a really great start, and people really getting to orient themselves in the shop and see what the comparative prices are. So let's get personal now. And what I'll do is I'll go through the headings that we've got that I read out earlier on and shared with you. And of course, our panelists don't feel obliged to cover every one of these. If you've got a contribution about it, feel free, but we don't need to know every one of your personal details and all the numbers for every single heading here. Just a little bit of indicative detail and data on these would be really helpful. So if we start with housing and rental prices, our committee here this evening, Debbie, Sarah, and James. Debbie, I'll go in that order and we'll work our way through these. Debbie, what have you got to say about housing and rentals? Coimbra is probably a pretty good representative place to start with.
Yes, thank you. And so I'm in a 3-2 furnished in a condominium. Got a balcony on the east and a balcony on the west, which is
Check
nice.
it
And I
out.
even have a garage, even though I don't have a car, but maybe I'll have a car someday. And I really have a good price on that. I pay 950 euros a month for that, which is a little under market. But just for Coimbra, I went ahead and I looked at what's available today on Idealista.
Well,
So
thank you.
T0s run from 370 to 950, T1s 520 to 1450, T2 660 to 2100, and T3 are actually a little less than the T2. They run from 550 to 2000. So I'm kind of like right in the middle there with my 950.
Thank you for doing that research. Fantastic. Can I stay with you for utilities? Because we're in the house
Sure.
and the utilities, and I'll do this with the rest of the panel as well. So let's stay with you for your utilities.
Okay, so my gas and electric, I found they really varied by season. So when you just look like the average per month, that's 93 euros. But in the winter, it's about 120 because I like it warm. And then in the summer, just 39. So that's pretty cheap. My water tends to be 19 euros a month all the time. And then my internet with cellular and cable, it's unbelievably cheap. I cannot believe how cheap it is. I'm paying a special deal of 45 euros a month right now for all of that. But the regular price is 55 euros. And I will tell you, in the States, I would have paid more than 55 just for the internet, just for the cell phone. I don't even know what cable TV costs. But here, it came in a package. I was like, well, I don't really watch TV. They're like, well, it's cheaper if you take it. So I think that's a great deal.
They're trying to get you hooked. That's what they're trying to do. Yeah. Very good. Thank you for that. So let's go to Sarah then, if we may. Housing and utilities therein, Sarah. Good evening to you. Thank you, Debbie, by the way. Thanks for being here tonight, and thank you too, Sarah.
No problem. I think sort of I live between Cascais and Lisbon. If anyone knows, along the Marginal, there's a train line that runs from Lisbon to Cascais, and live kind of halfway between the two. I would say probably a one-bedroom apartment is probably, you're talking about €1,500. My situation is a little bit unique because I live in a flat share, so I pay less, obviously. But there's two people really, we've been living together, I'd say, for the whole time. I've been living here for 12 months. And electricity, really between 40 and €70 a month. Water between 25 and €50 a month. And yeah. And then on the higher months, like I think recently we've been going up to about 75. I think there's a bit of an anomaly there, but usually about 25 to 50. And then internet, €47.
Very good. Thank you for that. Did you mention you're just all electric, are you? There's no gas in that?
I haven't got the gas, unfortunately.
No, that's fine. Between
my
us,
bills are actually all included, but I did
right,
get
okay.
the
Well, between us, we
breakdown,
can
but
get a
I didn't have
sense
gas.
of this. Yeah, because I just bought a new gas bottle.
So we have
and
gas as well.
It was
But
delivered.
I've been actually using a barbecue quite a lot
Have
as
you?
well.
Right, okay. Well, inspired by the outage, and then you just didn't stop after that.
When I was doing it before, actually, inspired by the
Already?
weather. I came in May, the summer, and kind of outdoor sort of lifestyle. I just kind of used that as an oven, and really was using that a lot, to be honest.
Wow, fantastic. That's a really good cultural insight then. Thank you very much for that. James, what about you? Housing and utilities?
Boa tarde. I live not far down the train line from Sarah and Astrid. I live a bit closer to Cascais in a place called Estoril, which is kind of, well, it's next door to Estoril, which is across the street from me. And then on the other side of Estoril is downtown Cascais. But it's all part of the Cascais region. So that gives you an idea of about where I live. I live about a kilometer from the ocean. Don't have an ocean view or anything.
But you have
unless
to.
I work.
Thank you for treating us to that, James, behind you.
That's about a 1 kilometer walk, about half an hour's walk from me.
Lovely.
So anyway, that gives you an idea of where I am. Cascais is considered probably the Beverly Hills of Portugal. It's a very expensive, it can be a very expensive area. I don't live in that area.
Astrid does, right? Okay, yeah, we'll get to
So that gives you some idea of where I live compared to like Debbie, who's in a far less expensive area than what would be considered Cascais. But still, I pay all my own expenses. However, I live with my brother. We share an apartment. So we have a $1,400 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. But you can't find that now. We've been living here over 2 years here in Estoril. So I would agree with Sarah in this area. It's about a $1,500 a month minimum for a 1-bedroom at this point. 2 bedrooms would be probably at least $2,000 a month on up from there.
Wow.
So that's sort of housing costs.
Yeah, things have changed a lot in the last couple of years, I think.
It has. Housing here in Portugal is going up very quickly. So you have to take that into consideration when you're trying to do a budget here.
Yeah.
So, as far as utilities, I average about 65 a month, $65 a month. I do my entire budget in dollars because that's where my income is.
Yeah.
So it's averaging about $65 a month. Last month, well, in March, it was 137 for both gasoline and water. I'm sorry, not gas. electric and water.
Yep.
The electric was probably 100 of that, and the water was probably around 40 of that.
Mhm.
So it does vary a lot. I don't have air conditioning, so I pay a lot during the winter. I hate to be cold, so I turn the heat up. So during the summer, I don't pay for, just a pittance as far as electricity is concerned, except for
Yes.
the fans running.
Yep.
And then as far as, let's see, phone bill / internet is an average of about $60 a month for both of
Amazing.
those.
Incredible, isn't it? Great value. Diana's telling us, dropping cable here in the US because it's not worth it anymore. Excuse me while I pick my jaw up from the floor. Internet and cable, $350 a month. Family cellular, $200 a month. That's extortionate, isn't it, compared to Portugal here? James, anything else to add on housing and utilities there?
I don't think so.
That's great.
Did
All
I
right.
cover it all?
Yeah, no, I think you did. Thank you very much. We'll come back to you on some of the other headings. And thank you for your earlier conversion. A kilo, of course, is 2.2 pounds. And you were saying you got used to that metric system quite quickly being here.
You have to.
Okay, fair enough.
You have to.
In the deep end. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that, James, for the time being. And Astrid and I can give you a little bit of a family perspective on
Yes.
housing and on utilities as well. Go ahead, Astrid.
Okay, so for me, we are well, firstly, we've got two houses. So we have one in the country and an apartment here in Cascais. We rent the apartment in Cascais here and pay just under 1,100 for a 2-bedroom. Again, like the others said, if I was to replace this now, I wouldn't be getting anything less than probably 1,600 for it. It's an apartment, but it's a floor of a house. So it's not an apartment block. It's just they do a lot of that here, where it's upstairs and downstairs of a house that's leased to different people. So I'm on a good journey at the moment with my rent, but who knows where it'll go when the lease runs up. To rent a property out in the country area where we have our farmhouse, I think you're probably looking at about €500 a month. And that's for quite a big house with land. So there's quite a big difference there. For my electricity and gas for 3 to 4 people, because we're back and forth with my husband, we pay just under €60 a month. So it's a combined supplier called Repsol. So they do one bill for both gas and electricity. We pay about €30 a month for water. I think that is quite high. I do have 2 teenage girls, so of course the bathroom is their best friend. They're always in it taking showers. They just love it. So it could be a little bit lower, but yeah, it is what it is. Now I am very proud to say that my mobile phone bill is €4 a month.
What?
And my €1 a week.
How?
I went with this new Digi company.
Right. Okay. We need the link, please.
Digi.pt.
Okay. Yeah. Can we have the link? All right.
It's just
Stop
that
the webinar. Stop the webinar. We're all about to sign up for a new phone deal here.
DIGI.pt. I pay €1 a week for my mobile phone, and it's got more data than what I had with Vodafone. So I haven't had any I have noticed an increase in those spam phone calls though that you get, with people trying to like a video record, like a tape recording of someone's voice, and I just hang up. So I have noticed an increase in that, but I think it's worth the savings for €1 a week. I'm pretty happy with that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they also have a TV and internet package for €28 a month. So that's pretty.
How are they making any money? Is it just for
I have no idea.
Okay, all right. Well, we need to look into that. That's really amazing, quite amazing. I'm quite upset now. I pay. Go on, James.
I was just going to mention there's been in the past year or so, there's been a number of different new telephone companies coming on the scene, and that's why several of them are very cheap, and a lot of them now are offering doing it without an extended contract. Before they got here last year, you had to sign up for 2 years at a time. at a much more expensive rate. So it's really changed in the last year or so.
Well, I'm looking at Digi.pt now. I've gone straight to the website, and I think you're on an introductory deal, it would appear. But I mean, even
No.
they fixed
I'm
that.
not on any introductory field, unless to change their plans. But no, I'm on a
You got in
normal
early.
plan.
Yeah, they're on 25 a month, which is still great value, isn't it? What they're advertising on the web is 25 as their basic and recommended program for fiber, one giga at 25 a month, unlimited data as well, and mobile, and TV with 80 channels. So clearly there's a price war going on. You're going to get a good deal in Portugal, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
I'm currently
Just shop
paying.
around.
Yeah, I'm paying about 60 for my family phones. There's three, I think, and for the fiber, the internet, and a similar sort of amount. So I'm paying far too much. I'm at the top end and being ripped off royally in Portugal, even at those what I thought were pretty good prices. Um,
I
I
pay I
Go on,
pay
Sarah.
about 25 euros a month. What's interesting here, I don't know if it's the same, well, for me in the UK, same in America, but at home in the UK, we can normally get a deal where you can get the phone and your contract at sort of special price, and then you can get like an additional sort of benefit of like
add-on.
Spotify or Netflix for 12 months or something like that. And it's,
Yes.
it saves you, but obviously buying the phone up front is cheaper. But if you can't do that or don't want to do that, then this package is quite good. Whereas when I went to Vodafone here and I asked the guy, he looked at me like,
Yeah.
where I
They
come
don't
from.
do
don't
phone,
do
It's very separate.
phone and
You do the
plans.
package and then the phone's separate.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
expensive. The units
Yes,
themselves
very
are
expensive.
Yeah, okay. So the handsets are expensive, but the services are very, very good value from €1 a week. It would appear. Wow. Thank you. That's a bombshell tonight there, Astrid, with that. Fantastic. And that's a good question, Neil. Good evening to you, who now officially calls himself not Spartan FX, Neil. I love that. Thank you very much. Neil, how difficult is it to switch cell and internet providers in Portugal? It's not easy to do that until you reach the end of your term. If you move and they can't serve you, you're allowed to get out of the contract. But if you move and they can serve the area you move to, this is for internet, not the mobile, obviously. If you move somewhere where they can still provide service, you have to stay with them until you're 24. Usually a 22-year contract, isn't it, with the companies? And that's when you get a chance.
Just to let you know though, the €1 a week plan that I'm on is not on contract. I can end at any time.
Wow. Okay. It just gets better and better. Okay. I'm quite shocked by that, as I think you can tell. My electricity was, I mean, we're heating a family home here, and it was over €200 in the darkest, coldest time of winter because we had a lot of heating on. Then it went to just under 200. Then it went to 175, I recall, and I got a bill this morning or in the last couple of days, and it's down to 90 again. So it's fine when we're warm here. Electricity is really not an issue. And our big gas bottle, the shoulder high gas bottle, which is the way a lot of houses work here, that heats the water, the hot water system, and our gas hob cooker. I think it was €124 for that shoulder high. I can't remember the amount of litres that are in it, but that will last us anything from a month to 6 weeks of gas on 5 people in the household. And my rent, I think I'm going to give my landlord a hug next time I see him, because I clearly got a great deal when I moved in 3 years ago and signed a 3-year contract, and it terrified me. I was thinking, there's no way we're going to be here 3 years. And here we are coming up to 4 years in the house, and we've got the rent deal dating back 3 years ago, and things have changed a lot here all over Portugal, as you've heard. Rental prices have gone up a lot in that time, so we've got a great deal. And that's to be fair, that's what we can say about Portuguese rentals and leases. Once it's fixed, it can only go up in line with inflation thereafter until the end of the lease. And then it's renewed automatically, as I understand from Daniel. If nobody says anything, you just go into an ongoing rental agreement, and it will go up each year according to inflation. Is that your understanding as well, Debbie?
Yes, I've read that it can go up 3% a year by law, but I am so happy my landlord did not raise my rent. I think he's happy to have me.
Yep.
And also, I forgot to mention that Saturday is my 1 year anniversary of living in.
Oh, excellent.
So this is
Congratulations.
a timely topic.
Yeah, right. So you've got, nearly 12 months to reflect on there as we're doing tonight. So let's move on from housing and utilities. Let's talk about groceries. Obviously, we had a great insight from Astrid with the groceries. And let's maybe put, oh, look, thank you for that in the chat there. That's fantastic. Little celebration going on there. Let's do groceries and dining out, shall we, together as an item. I'll stay with you, Debbie, on that. Are you eating out and celebrating for your 1 year anniversary? And what sort of money are you up against for your annual, not your annual, your monthly grocery bill?
My grocery bill, it was hard to separate out. So I buy groceries, but my dog eats real meat. Her grocery bill is probably more than mine. So, it includes like other things like pots, I'm still buying some stuff like pots and pans, it's that, or like some wine or, some others. So it's not just groceries, but it looked like with all those things rolled in that I'm spending about 300 euros a month. And in the US, it was more like 200 a month, but these other things wouldn't have been rolled into that. So far as dining out, I hate to say this, I don't like Portuguese food, so I don't eat out very often. When I do, I go out for sushi, and I'm sure I will be celebrating this weekend with some of my friends.
Sushi.
But it looks like, like I go out, have coffee or beer, whatever. It looks like I'm spending about 100 euros a month going out. I think most people would spend more, but I just really don't go out.
Well, 100 euros is one sitting in the United States, I think, going out for dinner, isn't it? So that's your monthly.
In fact, I'll make this quick. So in February, I went back to the US to like tidy up all the rest of my things and never go back. So some friends wanted to get together and I said, oh, let's go to this diner. It's a diner. Okay, let's go to this diner. We'll have coffee. So I had a cup of coffee and I had a refill, but they don't charge for refills. Cup of coffee and a slice of pie with tax and tip. It was $16.40.
No way.
That's like a month.
Right. I've seen it in the movies. I didn't realize it cost that much. Wow.
And that was in a diner.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think 100 a month, and I think that's even high, but it's, like here and there, get a coffee here, a beer there, a glass of wine there, and I just kind of guessed.
No, that's great. 300 plus 100 entertaining going out. Sarah, would you care to share your stats on that?
Yeah, so I've been here for 12 months and up until then I didn't have a car. So what I would do is do a big shop, maybe once a month, go by Uber to the big supermarket, and then if I was going for a walk and then Uber back. And then I'm quite fortunate, I've got a row of shops outside where I live, which is a butcher's, like a grocery store that sells like, corner shop, but they've got loads of fresh fruit, vegetables, and all reasonably priced, which is a bit different. In the UK, our corner shops are normally much more expensive than the supermarkets. But I've sort of compared prices of a few things that are like for like, and there's not a lot of difference. So what I do is kind of shop week to week a little bit there, sort of 10 to 20 euros there, and then do a bigger shop once a month. Eating out varies. I mean, obviously we said near Cascais, near Lisbon, which is probably slightly more expensive. So yes, you can get main dishes between 11 and maybe 20 euros or more, 25 euros or higher end. But yet there's still coffee shops, tascas nearby that are doing much more reasonable price. I found a tasca, like a very small Portuguese place in Lisbon. They were doing a deal about, I think it was about 6 or 7 euros. You get a soup and a main meal for lunch.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Coffees, I've been charged €1 for a coffee. So, but then in some posher coffee shops, you're talking about maybe 4 or 5 euros.
It's quite a difference, isn't it?
It's quite, and it depends where you go. Like I was up in Tamar actually recently. 5 people went out for a meal. It was an Indian restaurant. We had poppadoms, bhajis, all had a main, all had a rice, 2 bottles of wine, some water, 122 euros the bill came to.
For
We paid
everybody.
11 euros a bottle of wine out in a restaurant.
It's
Very
terrific,
good.
isn't it?
And Mike, that's with Jerry, and Jerry loves his curries.
Yes.
That's a
see,
lot of food.
Well, that was
Jerry
actually the
was not holding
Indian-
back. Jerry was
The
not holding
Indian
back.
that we had one of our expat meetups in, so we went back to that Indian. But he didn't charge us. We didn't get special price because we'd been before. He charges the same as everybody else, but it was very, very good. So it depends where you go. As I said, if you go to some places, obviously a little bit more touristy, or a little bit more city is a bit more expensive, like Porto in the center perhaps, but I think it's still a reasonable price. But obviously you can go a little bit further out, but not far, a few streets away or whatever, and find cheaper prices.
Very good. Thanks for that, Sarah. James, groceries and any eating out?
As far as groceries here in Estoril, I have a fairly large Pingo Doce almost across the street. And there's some fairly large grocery stores here in the town of Cascais. I spend almost an average of $200 per month on groceries, just for myself. And then I do eat out fairly often, although I like to try stuff because there's so many great things here in Portugal. Plus, I can't pass by a pastry shop without trying everything on the menu. And so I spent about $190 a month on eating out. So,
Yeah. Well, you're very Portuguese then, I think, because that's the Portuguese way, isn't it, to eat out a lot, especially at lunchtime and a few evenings a week as well. That's great. Thank you very much for that. So the shock so far, Astrid's phone bill, Debbie not liking Portuguese food. I don't know what else is coming tonight. Stick around and find out. Astrid, groceries and
Can
we
I
got
just
pretty
say
good
about
insight, I think.
for me, the shock for me was the wine, because I went to one place and I think it was about maybe 6-7 euros, and I thought, oh, that's a bit more
Steep.
expensive for a glass of wine than I'm used to. But I thought, okay. And then like you know, a bottle of wine comes, or half a bottle of wine, and I'm like, oh, you know.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, Astrid, your choice, I think, was rather expensive. But you did say
Yes.
people do spend a lot less than that on wine, or can do, right? In these.
Yeah. But okay, so I spend quite a lot on groceries because I've got two teenage girls with very particular taste. They only want the best of everything and stuff like that. So that makes it a little bit difficult. And it has to be the best yogurt, the best this, the best that. I don't know. Everything else is just they won't eat. But what I tend to do is take my trolley to the Cascais market here on a Saturday, with a list of all the fresh produce that I want to get. And that trolley will be jam-packed full of really, really high quality produce. And I usually spend about 50 euros there. And that's the fresh produce for the whole week that I get. So I think that's really, really reasonable. So I'm spending about 200 euros on fresh fruit and veg. Then I tend to go to the supermarket to buy all the other things like the yogurts and the meats and things like that. And I probably then go and spend about another 70 euros a week, which equates to what, 280. So all up, I'm spending close to 500 euros a month in groceries to feed my family.
Those family requirements. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. So let's move on then to transportation. This is quite an important one, and different lifestyle choices around transport. Let's go back to you, Debbie, with that. How do you approach transport, and how much does it cost you?
Oh, well, I'm kind of laughing. I mean, I've had a car since I turned 16, and for most of my adult life, I would have two cars. I would have what I call the fun mobile for scuba gear and camping, and then I would have like a Miata. So, you know, my car expenses were always really high. Well, I don't have a car now, and because I am a certain age, I get a monthly senior pass on the Coimbra bus, 15 euros a month, unlimited rides. So sometimes I need an Uber or a Bolt. If it's raining or like the buses just aren't running, which happens a lot with the strikes, or if I go to the grocery store and I get heavy stuff, I'll get an Uber or Bolt, or maybe I'm meeting somebody for dinner, whatever. So my average per month of Uber or Bolt is about 50 euros. They tend to be like €2 or €3 a ride, and then I throw in a tip. So that's my cheap getting around. Now from Coimbra, I can go to the beach, Figueira da Foz, for round trip, senior price, €3.
Hold on a minute. I think it dropped out for a moment. I thought I heard you say €3. That can't be right.
It is right. From Coimbra Beach to Figueira da Foz, it's for senior. I think it's 6 if you're not an old lady like me. And it's like, go to the beach for 3 years. I can take the
That's
dog. I mean, it's
amazing.
like,
That's
it's
wonderful.
amazing. And I think what I was spending on transportation in the States just, I mean, I can almost pay my rent with what I'm saving on not having, insurance. My cars were paid off, but insurance, gas, tires, oil changes, just all those things, tolls. So now I'm in the process of, I'm going to get my Portuguese driver's license, really only because my Florida one expires soon and it's at 10 years where I'd have to go back. So I'm working on that. And then, maybe I want to rent a car and go somewhere. But really, my transportation is like, we're looking at like sub €60 a month.
That's terrific. Perfect. Very, very good news there. Sarah, what about you? Different requirements, presumably. You're motoring around the country?
Yes, so I haven't had a car for the last 12 months. I thought I'd assess it and see what I was spending. So it depends where you live. If you live close to the train station or a metro, then obviously that makes that like a little bit easier. I mean, the train is like a couple of euros. Near where I live, or certainly our area, we get a card, which means we can use the buses for free. So I can get to the beach for free in the bus if I want to. Ubering around short distances range from about €3 to €5. Then if I want to go into Lisbon or looking at the airport, so about 20 to 25 kilometers, you're ranging from maybe about 11 to €20, depending on the time of day, and where you're going, obviously in Lisbon. Then trains to Porto, I think the cheapest is maybe about €20, a single ticket. I had a quick look because sometimes I rent a car. So I did a quick look before I came on. If I rented a car from Friday at 10 a.m. to Monday at 10 a.m., so over the weekend, a Peugeot 208, it would be a total of about €45 basically. And that's with basic insurance. If you want premium insurance, it'd be about €126 for the
Right,
weekend.
and that's for the weekend, not per day.
No, Friday to Monday, dropping
the
it
whole
back
thing.
10 till 10.
There you
Which I
go.
thought it is quite reasonable. So that's what I've been doing up until now, but it depends what you do. Because of work, traveling around a bit more,
Yeah,
I
fair
sort of
enough.
added up my Ubers and my rental. So now I have got a car. So what I did is basically like a long-term rental. I rent it for 18 months. They would only let me rent it for as long as within my visa period. And all the insurance, maintenance, everything's included in a monthly cost. So I think roughly I'd probably be better off. Some months it will cost me a little bit more, but then it gives me a little bit more flexibility. But as I said, maybe if I didn't do what I did or lived maybe a little bit closer to the train station, I maybe wouldn't need a car.
Yeah, well, the professional life transportation costs we're hearing there. Thanks for that, Sarah. Much appreciated. What about you, James?
I don't have a car anymore either. And since I live in Cascais, as Sarah said, you can ride the buses here for free if you work here, you live here, or you're a student here. You can ride any of the buses for free. You can ride the trains here. The trains are all part of the Metro Lisbon area and are covered under the passes that you can buy for the Lisbon area. The trains run from here in Cascais all the way as far as east as Hartas and Azois, and then as far north as Sintra and as far south as Setúbal. And then you can ride the ferries as well as all part of the system. And for senior, that is $20, €20 a month. It's €40 a month if you're not a senior. So I spend €20 a month on that. And then if I need to, I'll get an Ubers for anywhere between let's say 10 or 20 euros a month.
Very, very good. Thank you, James. That's wonderful.
Also, if I might, you might ask Sarah how much she spends in gasoline.
Yes. Yeah.
Diesel.
Well, I'll do that with Astrid. We'll come back to Sarah on that because I'm imagining you're quite familiar, Astrid, aren't you, with gas prices
Yeah.
generically?
I use my car a lot because when I'm not working on Expats Portugal, I'm a taxi driver for two very busy teenagers. So I can't rely on public transport at all with this job. So I as far as fuel is concerned, so I have gasolina, which is petrol. I'm not too sure what you call that in American terms, but what's petrol called in America? It's fuel, yeah. Like it's not gas. So, no, it's not gas. It's not diesel.
No,
it's
not
gas,
diesel,
but it's
it's
not gas.
It's gas.
Okay, so
Gasoline.
it's about
liquids, but it's gas.
yeah, the liquid stuff, not the diesel, but the other one.
Not LPG gas, right?
So it's usually around the €1.50 a litre mark, and I'm not too sure what that is with gallons. So all up per month, with the amount of driving that I do, I may spend €150 in fuel, which I think is pretty good considering how much I get around. My daughters do travel on public transport and they travel for free right across Lisbon because they're registered as students. So, regardless of where they go, they get it for free. My eldest daughter got a bus from Cascais here down to the Algarve to see some friends the last school holidays, and she paid €4 for the ticket, which was pretty amazing to get that far. It's like 200 maybe 300 kilometers away, so €4. Who knows how they make money? And what else can I say about the cost of transport? And insurances differ depending on the type of car that you have, of course, but I think my insurance is about €200 a year. Yeah.
I concur with that, Astrid. The brand of my car is, and not many people have heard of these, but you'll have seen them all over Portugal. I've got the OPB, which is the old Portuguese banger. And somebody gave it to me and said it probably won't go through its next test, and it's gone through 4 more tests since then. I've been so lucky with it. 200 euros a year on insurance, the 40 or so euros for the road tax every year. Incredible cheap motoring. I only ever put 20 euros in, and that's always stayed the same. So I never feel any change in price changes at the pump because I always put 20 euros in. So really cheap motoring. If you can get yourself an old banger, if you're happy to drive those here in Portugal, as a lot of people do, because it's very ecological, strangely, not as an electric or like hybrids or modern cars. People really keep their cars going on the road, and which I think is a sort of deeply ecological solution, really, to sort of make, do, and mend and keep the old car going if you're not too bothered about what it looks like when you turn up in your old jalopy. Fantastic. Right, our last category, I think we should have a look at healthcare and maybe roll in so that we're not here all evening. I mean, this is incredible information. There's a lot to share, but I don't want to be too long, and I want to allow some time for people to ask their own questions as well here. So how about we do healthcare and kind of any other business? If there's something quirky about your lifestyle that you want to talk about in terms of cost and cost of living, let's start with you, Debbie. Healthcare and anything else you want to introduce to us about your cost of living spending.
Okay, so my health insurance, I've got MGen, and because I'm over a certain age, I pay a lot, 156 euros a month for excellent private health insurance. I go to see private doctors for 18 euros, and they're really good doctors. Any kind of diagnostic tests are 20 euros. The other thing, and I've mentioned this in other seminars, is that you can actually see a doctor or get a test. But I'm not going to. So, I find the prescriptions, I don't usually take a lot of prescriptions, but I've had a cold a couple times, and they seem pretty cheap. The one surprise, so I have a cancer med that I take that with my Medicare in the States, it's free. And here it was 70 euros. So guess what? When people come to visit, I have them pick up my med in the States and bring it.
Okay, very good.
So
Good on
that was a surprise.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to compare. So my Medicare supplement in the US, so I kept my Medicare, just I thought I should do that. And I think it's 100, I don't know. It just comes out of my Social Security. But I also had a supplement and it was $222. And I didn't have as good of care as I have now with MGen for 156.
Right.
I also want to mention that everyone knows I have a dog because I talk about her nonstop. And in the USA, insurance for my pet was $70 a month. Here, the pet insurance is 23 euros a month.
Very good.
And it's also what rolls into that, but not in the US here. I think it's actually required, but most people don't do it. But also it's a liability is in that. So like if my dog, she's never going to bite somebody, but she might trip them. So if I get sued, I'm covered with that. I want to mention just a couple other quick things. So for instance, I go to see a wonderful hairdresser. I mean, she is so good, spends hours. I get cut, color, style. Great job. 60 euros. I can't believe that. I mean, you can't even get a crappy haircut in the States for 60 bucks. The dog groomer's 40 bucks, veterinarian's cheap. So I just wanted to say that I looked at my monthly average expenses and I broke it down into 3 types of currency. So I'm spending approximately 1,977 euros a month for everything. In USD, that would be $2,209. And in pounds, it's 1,662.
That's so thoughtful of you. Thank you very much. Sarah will be proud of you.
So inexpensive. And I forgot to mention, so I've been nomadic for a number of years and I lived in a caravan, a motorhome, and to rent a caravan space, a RV spot in the States is upwards of $1,000 a month now and can even be higher than that. And there are some cheaper, but they're really not very nice. I pay less to rent a 3-2 furnished in a nice area. So all I can say is I'm glad that I came to Portugal and to Coimbra, and that's my expenses.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your input tonight. Very thoughtful and very informative. Thanks so much. And the pet food you mentioned, quite expensive. Were you used to paying a lot for pet food anyway, and you can get what you need here?
No, I can't.
Right. Okay.
That's another thing that comes in people's suitcases. I have a friend coming Tuesday with my meds, my my dog food, my vitamins, and all those things. So my dog eats raw meat, whole nother topic, but the particular topper, I just can't find anything like it anywhere in Europe. And so I just have friends bring it, and I've got about a year's worth right now.
Fantastic. Okay.
So far as what other pet foods cost, I just can't tell you because that's
I mean, you can buy all the offal, hearts, giblets, liver, and if your dog eats that sort of meat from the butcher counter in the supermarket. So that's a solution there for some people. I do that for my dogs. And I even eat a bit of offal myself from time to time. Thank you very much, Debbie. Fantastic. Please, Sarah, on healthcare and any other interesting things that you might want to add at this point.
Okay, so healthcare, I have MGen through Nuno from Win Insurance, and I did go for the top coverage purely because I had Bupa previously in the UK, and I did use it, and it's obviously very worthwhile, so that's why I went with that. And it includes some elements of the dentist as well. I went for that too. So I pay 104.93 euros for that. And similar to what Debbie said, I looked at sort of some of the bills I've had previously. So the bloods I had taken, I paid 22 euros. GP appointment, 22 euros. Obviously, there's a bigger cost, and you just pay sort of obviously a nominal fee compared. One GP appointment was about 38 euros. I had a mammogram, that was 60 euros. So some things are a little bit more expensive, but yeah, as I said, it's not too badly priced. The only thing I do find a little bit more expensive here than the UK, and I suppose it's sort of a accessibility, is like paracetamol, things like that, Nurofen. At home in the UK, we can easily buy these sort of things in the supermarket anywhere will sell them basically, and it's a much cheaper price. Whereas all the drugs, anything like that, vitamins, you really all have to buy it generally in the pharmacies. And I find some of those a little bit more expensive. But as I said, compared to everything else, it's, you know, wine is cheaper. You know, so that's what I find generally.
It just changes it seems to change the price perception of everything else, doesn't it? The wine, for some reason. Excellent. Thank you, Sarah, on that. James, please, on the same matter of healthcare and anything else you want to tell us about.
Well, I hate to be a broken record, but I also use MGen as well.
And me.
We're all good friends with Nuno at Winsurance. Anyway, so it's largely dependent on your age. But the thing I will point out is that all health insurance here in Portugal has gone up a lot recently. My insurance bill went up almost 30% last year. I did turn 65, but they've changed the way they do that now. It used to be if you were between 65 and 70, you paid this price. Now it's by your actual age. So I pay an average, well, over the last 12 months, I paid an average of about $180 per month, but now it is up to $225 a month from now on. As far as prescriptions and medical things, I've had 3 surgeries in the past 6 months or so. If I had paid for that in the United States, I'm sure it would have cost me at least 20 grand. But here it cost me about 1,500 euros for the same thing. And that's largely covered by my insurance. I have found, as far as prescriptions, and as far as doctors, I think I can get mine similar to what Debbie said, I think it's 23 euros per doctor visit on most things. Tests vary a lot, so those are kind of very unpredictable. But my prescriptions, I went in I got like a whole bag full of prescriptions, and I walked out of the pharmacia, less than 5 euros for a whole bag of medicines. I will give you a tip. Rather than go into the pharmacia for like things like ibuprofen or simple pain reliever, you can go to most like Auchan or Pingo or Continent is another large store. They usually have small pharmacies attached to them, and you can get cheaper over-the-counter type drugs in those places.
Yeah.
But if you're able to go find your local Misericordia Farmacia, which is usually associated with the local church parish, I've found out I can get stuff for half price.
Interesting.
So look into that.
That's a great tip. Thank you very much. Excellent information this evening. Thanks for that. Thumbs up. Thank you, James. And we will have time for some questions. We're about an hour in, so we'll conclude the sharing from our great panel here tonight with you. Healthcare.
I know that there was an inquiry in the chat for someone wanted to know for families what health was. So maybe I'll just cover what I have. So I've got my husband's health insurance is through his work, so I needed to get health insurance independently for myself and my 2 daughters. We got not a very high-end insurance, pretty much like a middle of the range one, just so that we can see private doctors, and we still have some out of expense costs, but it's not through the roof. So we pay just under 60 euros a month for our health insurance for myself and the 2 teenage girls. It's through Multicare, so not through MGN, but it's through Multicare, because I got that policy in place before I knew Nuno from
There's the
from
shocker.
insurance. Yeah. We also do use the public system. I think some of you might be aware of the famous story, or not infamous amongst us anyway, story about when my daughter dislocated her knee playing basketball, and she was picked up by an ambulance and taken to Cascais Hospital, treated for that with all of the follow-ups and everything that happened afterwards. 100% free. Even the ambulance was free. So that was great. My husband had to go to emergency last week on 2 occasions, and both of those were free as well. So that's with the CT scan and everything. It's all covered, and was very, very, very good service. So the public system here is fantastic too. So it's busy, it's overwhelmed, but it is very good.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And mine, 2 adults, 3 children, is 84, I believe, a month. That's the lower MGen. There is a higher sort of premium level, but that's what we chose, which I think is great value as well as an insurance. And just finally then, before we go to some of your questions and finish the recording for YouTube purposes, Denise, good point. What about folk that live further north and in central Portugal? Is there anyone who can talk about that situation? We seem to be talking mostly Lisbon, high population area. So yeah, fair enough. We've got Astrid, Sarah and James in that Cascais, Estoril area. Debby, of course, is in central, in Coimbra. I'm in central, although I think there's a little bit of a coastal premium on the Silver Coast. Jerry will be very happy to talk to you directly or in the forum about costs in rural central Portugal. And of course, you've got Hank and Connie, who will talk to you at the social on the first Saturday night of the month if you want to get an idea.
Carl, also, no, I have a country home, so I can give prices based on that. It is in the Alentejos. It's not central, but it is. It's not a city. It's a little village with it's on a farm. So if there's anything specific that you want to know about that, the cost associated there. But as I said to Denise, a lot of these prices that we're talking about will be universal right across Portugal. I think the only difference really would be the rent that you pay and maybe transport costs. But I think everything else is pretty standard.
Yeah, and you get some amazing food prices in remote parts of Portugal.
Oh, it's cheaper, much cheaper.
Yeah, what you lose in having to travel to the city for some things, your local food markets will be incredible, and local fresh eggs, all that sort of stuff. If you know the right people to ask, you'll get eggs that maybe have been laid that morning at the market or in the last couple of days anyway. So great work. Thank you, panel. Superb job tonight. This is always a great webinar. So thank you very much to you, Debby, to you, Sarah, James and Astrid, of course, for kicking us off with those prices of familiar items. We will pause the recording there for the purposes of YouTube. Obviously, if you are watching this, you might want to think about becoming an Expats Portugal premium member, because you get to hang out with everybody after the recording, plus loads of other benefits. Find out about those at expatsportugal.com. Right.